very, very brief. I want to pull it up for you guys. Shout out to Tony East who dropped this. I want to react to it with you guys here on the channel. Just check out exactly what Stephanie White had to say this morning. And we just finna go from here. So let me get this set up for you guys. Press play and let's react to it and check it out.
Forgot about last game. Aisha had that moment. She came out in the first half of that last game. She also came back in. What happened there? Is she any concern beyond?
No concern. I thought she just tweaked something. And more than anything, we just want to give her a moment.
I was talking to Raven about her energy just now.
Yeah.
Significant updates came out of Indianapolis as Fever, head coach. White addressed the media regarding the current state of the team. The appearance was notable given that White had been relatively quiet in the days prior, with many wondering whether she was deliberately keeping distance from reporters. That perception stemmed largely from a situation involving Caitlin Clark's absence from a recent game, during which athletic reporter James Boyd had been pressing White with pointed questions. Her decision to speak up again was welcomed, though the conversation stayed notably short and carefully contained. White touched on a few key players during the session. On Misha, she confirmed there was no real concern after the player appeared to tweak something in the first half of the last game and briefly left the floor. White described it as minor and said the staff simply wanted to give her a moment before bringing her back.
Her energy just now, she's always dancing and moving around. What do you think of how that affects who she is and how she plays?
I mean, she's a joy to be around. I think she's number one, a really good kid. And she has this way about her that allows others to connect with her. She's serious, but she's also easygoing and has a great ability to connect with lots of different people. And I think that makes her a really good leader. It did for her college team, and it makes her a really good teammate. And
Raven Johnson drew the most positive commentary. White spoke about Johnson's energy as something that naturally pulls people toward her, describing her as a genuinely good person with the rare ability to connect with a wide range of personalities. White characterized that quality as a form of leadership, pointing to how it worked for Johnson at the college level and how it is already showing up in her role as a teammate at the professional level. Johnson's working relationship with assistant coach Bree was also discussed. White explained that coaching staff assignments are generally based on position and skill alignment, but when a connection clicks, the staff lets it develop naturally. In this case, the fit made sense, because Bree was among the best point guards to come through the league and shares many of the same skill sets Johnson is currently developing. White saw an obvious symmetry there.
For her college team, and it makes her a really good teammate. And I just think that people are drawn to other people that have good energy.
She told me she's been working with Bree. They have similar strengths, at least, as players. How did their connection come to be? Did you want that to be a thing? Did they naturally gravitate to each other? How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, all of our coaches have, are assigned to certain players just based on position, based on some of the things that we're looking at. And then, if a connection works, it works, and if not, then we'll adjust. And it worked there. I mean, Bree was one of the best.
On Trale Hall, White noted that meaningful practice time has still been limited since Hall joined the team, but the early signs are encouraging. Hall is reportedly more vocal. The fact, more confident, and more settled than at any point during the prior season. White credited her off-season work, including time spent playing in the AU, along with the experience of having a full year's understanding of both the league and the team's system. Lexi was singled out for her defensive reliability. White described her as a player who covers gaps, brings energy every day, and never gives coaches a difficult moment. A college assistant coach who knew Lexi previously reached out and asked White whether she had ever had a bad coaching day with her, and White said the answer was simply no. White also attended the Indianapolis 500 the day prior, which she described as a memorable experience, especially sharing it with her son.
Was one of the best point guards to play in this league. She has again a lot of the same skill sets that Raven has, and is looking to grow in a lot of the ways that Bree had to grow in this league. And so I think it's a natural symmetry there.
I don't know how long this whole stint with Stephanie White and Don Staley getting players out of South Carolina is going to last, but whatever it is, it's something that we need to look into. And when I was on Whitlock recently, he spoke about them actually being.
She mentioned being slightly nervous the race might end under a yellow flag, but was pleased with how things finished. It was her first time attending on race day, despite her Indiana roots, having played at Purdue and previously coached at Indiana University. What makes White's attendance worth noting is the context surrounding it. Caitlin Clark served as Grand Marshal of the race, meaning the event was largely centered around Clark's presence. White being there as someone with deep Indiana ties on a day that belonged in large part to her own player struck some observers as an interesting choice. The full Fever team was reportedly present. So the visit may have been a collective team gesture, but the optics prompted discussion. Regardless, on the basketball side, the connection between White and South Carolina head coach Dawn Staley has become increasingly relevant.
Something that we need to look into. And when I was on Whitlock recently, he spoke about them actually being teammates. So I'm going to, in this video here, we're going to pull up the connection between Don Staley and Stephanie White.
From film this morning, what did you see you could tweak against Golden State? What advantage is it that you play them 2 times in a row, 6 days apart?
Yeah, I mean, today is more about looking at some of the things that we needed to be better in, and some of the things that we found success in, and continuing to hone those skills and work on that. We've
The two were teammates during the 1999 inaugural WNBA season with the Charlotte Sting, where White arrived as a rookie out of Purdue, and Staley was beginning her domestic professional career after years playing overseas. Their relationship has remained intact professionally over the decades, with White openly expressing admiration for Staley's coaching program. That connection has carried into roster decisions, as the Fever drafted a South Carolina point guard whom Staley personally developed through college. With the Fever heading back to the practice facility and a rematch with the Valkyries approaching, all of these storylines are converging at once for an Indiana team that has plenty to sort out both on and off the court. A Caitlin Clark record is being credited to a different player, one who did not actually break it. This is not a minor statistical error. It is the kind of deliberate misrepresentation that shaped much of the media narrative around Clark in 2024, and the fact that it is resurfacing in 2026 suggests the pattern never fully went away.
To hone those skills and work on that. We've got the rest of the week to work on our tweaks and what we think that they'll do and what we want to do. But today was mostly just about working on the things that we need to continue to work on to get better.
And a couple weeks ago, you brought Bree Hall down development. How have you seen her develop in the 2 weeks? How can she continue?
Well, we haven't really had a lot of practice yet. This will only think be the second full day of practice since she's been here. But already she's more confident. She's more vocal. I think she's more self-assured, than she was pretty much at any point last year.
Azzi Fudd had a genuinely outstanding game. That part needs to be stated clearly and without qualification. She's scored 17 points in a single quarter, hitting 5 3-pointers in that stretch alone. It was one of the more electric individual quarter performances seen from a rookie this season, and the praise directed at her in the aftermath was entirely earned, none of what follows. The problem is what was reported alongside it. Posts and broadcasts began circulating, claiming that Fudd had broken the WNBA rookie record for three-pointers in a game.
I think she's more self-assured, than she was pretty much at any point last year. Her offseason and playing in AU really helped her. I think that she's having a year and an understanding of the league and of our team really helped. So you see she's more vocal, more confident, and all those things are going to pay dividends.
How much easier does it make your life as a coach to be a set it and forget it defender like Lexi?
A lot easier. She covers a lot of gaps. She comes with great energy. It's funny because I was talking with one of her college assistant coaches just yesterday, and she was like,
She did not. Caitlin Clark holds that record with 7, a performance that came during one of the most grueling stretches of her debut season. A run of 11 games in 20 days. Fudd's total, while impressive, did not reach that number. Clark's record was not broken. It was not even tied. What actually appears to have happened is that Fudd set a Dallas Wings franchise rookie record. A meaningful achievement for a young player finding her footing at the professional level, worth reporting on its own terms. The distinction between a franchise record and a league-wide record is not a subtle one.
One of her college assistant coaches just yesterday, and she was like, have you ever had a bad day coaching Lexi? And it's like, no, because she just goes out and she busts her butt every single day. And again, she's a good teammate, she's got good energy, and she does whatever you ask all the time. And she's going to be solid for us.
I saw you were interviewed pre-race yesterday, that it was your first time getting to be there on race day. So I guess after the fact, how was the experience?
It was great.
So that was Stephanie White first time being there on race day. She's from Indiana. She was the head coach at Indiana.
They are categorically different things. During the broadcast, the sideline reporter correctly identified it as a Wings record. On social media, the same achievement was being described as a broken WNBA record. Those two statements cannot both be true, and the league-level claim is the false one. When Paige Buchers was asked directly about the record after the game, she responded with, "Records are made to be broken." A reasonable answer to the question asked, except the premise of the question was wrong. There was no WNBA record broken. Buchers was essentially being invited to comment on something that did not happen, and the exchange was treated as confirmation that it did.
But AZ Food, unbelievable yesterday. I cannot let this, I'm not going to pretend that AZ Food was not unbelievable yesterday. She was fantastic. And I am super impressed by how she played, because not that I haven't been impressed by her overall game as a rookie. I think her overall game's been good. I haven't been impressed by her does she just fit in rather than fit out? But yeah.
This is not the first time this kind of thing has occurred. A viral post claiming that J.C. Sheldon had never beaten Clark, either in college or professionally, spread widely despite being demonstrably inaccurate. Ohio State and Iowa had a fiercely competitive rivalry, precisely because the results were close over time. Clark's first professional matchup against Sheldon produced one of the most statistically remarkable individual performances in WNBA history. A game involving 19 assists, 24 points, and a record for points created in a single game that may never be matched. Yet the Dallas Wings won that game. Clark has won 4 consecutive matchups against teams featuring Sheldon since, but the original claim that she had never lost to her erased a significant portion of the actual competitive history between them. The lie spread far enough that it became treated as settled fact. There is a documented tendency in WNBA media coverage to construct record-breaking narratives around players other than Clark, occasionally at the direct expense of accuracy.
But yeah, it's one of those things, she fit out yesterday and hit 6 threes in a quarter. Unbelievable. 17 points in a quarter. Or was it 6 threes in a quarter? No, she had 17 points in a quarter, so 5 threes in a quarter. She did hit the most in a quarter. But she had 6. As you can see, excommunion up. Caitlin Clark made 7 threes. And by the way, she made 7 threes during the... Do you remember the... Was it during the 11 games in 20...
Last week, Bookers was reported to have tied Kelsey Plum for the fastest achievement of a particular milestone. The framing treated Plum as a benchmark, which required overlooking the fact that Plum spent multiple early seasons of her career being categorized as one of the more significant draft disappointments in the league's history, before eventually developing into an elite player much later. The record being referenced was not Plum's rookie record. It was something else entirely, and the reporting flattened important context to make the comparison land a certain way. Fudd is going to be a very good player. The case for selecting her where she was drafted rested heavily on the idea that her shooting mechanics are close to projectable at the professional level. An ultra-quick release, reliable catch-and-shoot conversion rates from distance, and the ability to get dangerously hot in short bursts. The comparison to Allie Quigley in terms of WNBA profile has merit.
Remember the... Was it during the 11 games in 20 days? I think it might have been during the 11 games in 20 days. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe technically they worded it. It was the most ever by a rookie in a game against the Liberty, I guess. Because I think Caitlin's season high against the Liberty as a rookie was like 22 or something.
If teams continue leaving her open, she will punish them for it at a high rate, the record she actually holds. The Wings' rookie mark for three-pointers in a single game is a legitimate piece of her development story. It does not need to be inflated into something it is not. What is genuinely troubling about the broader pattern is the stated goal it seems designed to serve. Repeatedly posting false or misleading record claims, then allowing those claims to spread before corrections arrive, shapes public perception in ways that corrections rarely undo. The audience that saw the original post is almost always larger than the audience that sees the clarification.
But I will say that it is what it is, but we're now at a stage where we all know if lies are said enough, they become fact. I think we all should be in agreement on that one. If a lie is spread far enough and said enough, it will become fact. Just like, let's not forget the viral post that JC Sheldon has never beaten Caitlin Clark in the pros or in
If the goal is to create the impression that Clark's records are being surpassed, that the league has moved on, that other players are reaching and exceeding her benchmarks, then a false record claim achieves that goal for the hours or days before anyone checks. By the time the correction circulates, the impression has already been formed in a large portion of the audience. The record stands 7 three-pointers in a game, set by Caitlin Clark. Azzi Fudd had a spectacular quarter and owns a franchise milestone. Those two things can both be true at the same time, and reporting them accurately does not require choosing one player over another.
In college, I'm pretty sure they had like the reason why there was such a big rivalry between Ohio State and Iowa is because Ohio State beat Iowa almost as many times as Iowa beat Ohio State. Iowa won the last couple of the battles, but I do know early in their college career, I think JC had the advantage. And then the first time Caitlin Clark played JC Sheldon in the pros, yes, Caitlin Clark did in fact have 19 assists and 24 points and break the record for the most points created in a game. That will probably never be beaten in the WNBA. That being said, the Dallas Wings won the game. Like, that game from Caitlin Clark would have been seen as one of the greatest WNBA games ever had the Dallas Wings not won the game. But the Dallas Wings did win the game. So we have to be clear. Like, that's would have been one of the 5 greatest games ever had they won. JC Sheldon was on the Dallas Wings team. Yes, Caitlin Clark has won 4 straight against teams with JC Sheldon. But didn't do it all. But again, that is one of those things where I'm pretty sure we've seen Barstool post about it. It's like that lie became fact. And then I think after the game, like, I think Paige was asked about her AZ breaking the record for 3-point shots for a rookie, and she was like, records are made to be broken. It wasn't a record. It was an incredibly impressive game by AZ. I cannot stress it enough. It was an incredibly impressive game by AZ. I cannot stress it enough. It was an incredibly impressive game by AZ, and I don't want to take away from AZ here, but it's not the record. Like, admin, please get stats right. It's 6 in 1 quarter, not the game. She didn't hit 6 in a quarter, I don't think, because she had 17 in the 3rd quarter. She had 1 in the 4th. Or did she? Did she have 20 in the quarter? No, she had 17 in the 3rd. She had 4 in the first half, 17 in the 3rd, and 3 in the 4th. Like, as good as AZ was, it was a, like, first quarter